Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Do you really believe you can't make a difference in the world? Do you really, really believe that? And what if you could make a difference in the world by proving to yourself that you could do something miraculous, like bending a spoon? Would that help you believe in yourself? So joining me today is Miché Meizner. This is her third time here. She's been with me lots of times. She's a spiritual mentor, healer, and a coach. And Miché will be talking about mindful thinking and superpower of self-love. This is the most important part of what she has to say. And I'm really excited about all the different ways she says it. So how does your state of mind and self-talk influence you, your reality, and how does it define you? And literally, how does it shape your world? So want you to spend some time really listening to Miché. She has some really good points. She has some really good programs coming out that you can participate in. And so I think, let's see, what else can I tell you before we get started? You're in Oregon, right? And animal communication, is that what you do, some of that? And
haven't hung out a shingle on that, but I do energy work. I have my own modality of energy and healing.
Beautiful. Yeah, she's taught hundreds of people how to bend spoons, but the whole point of what you do is it's a mission to change how we look at ourselves, to change how we think, and bring us into self-love and to in that sense of loving that soul. And you've done some transformational work with lots of people that I know. So welcome. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you again.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm excited to be back again, and I was trying to think how many times. And then I remembered that also when I interviewed you on my year-long radio show, the Not Too Late Show, and that was fun.
That was fun too. That was great.
On a few blocks. You were actually in one of the first groups that I did when I started teaching spoon bending online, and that was 7 years ago.
That was. And you know what? I had been taking spoon bending little workshops here and there, and I couldn't really bend them. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then it was when you taught me, and all of a sudden the spoon just bent. But what I was doing was exactly what you're saying, is thinking how much you love yourself and thinking how good that feels, so talk more about that. That's your go-to with everything that you do.
Right. I call it spoon bending sometimes like my Swiss Army knife of personal transformation, because you can use it in so many ways. And one of the first ways when I started really practicing with it and then teaching it was, if you're angry, if you're in a bad mood, if you're, cursing yourself out or whatever, you're not going to bend that spoon. The spoon is going to bend with you, for you, when you're in a relaxed and state of peacefulness and alignment and wonder. You don't even have to believe that you're going to bend it. You could just wonder if I could bend it, or will I bend it, or whatever. And so it's a mechanism, a tool to remind you, right? I mean, it doesn't make you love yourself, but it's a reminder that when you're in a self-loving and self-talk is also loving and kind and patient to yourself, and even, with your surroundings, that's when you're in your power. That's when you are, connected. I mean, we're always connected, right? But if you want like maximum throughput, I think, it's when we're really loving ourselves, right? And just wanting to grow and be more, or celebrate who we are or what's going on.
The thing that happened for me when you were first teaching it, and I was first starting to come out having Angelscapes be a really out there business and that kind of thing. I took that workshop. We did the spoon bending, and then you were said this, and it was starting to occur to me: if I can bend the spoon, what else can I do? Kind of, it just finally it came home to me. It's not about bending the spoon; it's about bending your reality in your life.
Right. And
I
the
think
spoon is so helpful and convenient because it is very tangible and it's very in the moment. I had been studying for years, like law of attraction and metaphysical stuff and paranormal and all this, and I had believes I had some experiences, whatever, but felt like I was really missing like the big sort of prove it kind of thing. And while this is not nearly the same as like a near-death experience, the ability to hold a spoon in one moment and not be able to bend it with your physical strength, and then just have like a shift of state of being, and then be able to bend it in half easily. To me, that's the proof of all this other stuff that you can't really prove necessarily, right? Partly because it's often there's too many moving parts to track, right? That you want something or you shift something and you put something out, maybe you put up a different, side of your persona. You're stepping into your happy, healthy, and things will change, but maybe nothing so clear that you can say, oh, look, this happened because I did that. This is pretty much immediate. And so I take that and transfer the understanding of that, like you were saying, to other things. Because if I could bend this, and bending reality, and it's simple, then what else is possible? And
Well, what kind of realities can you bend? You've bent the spoon, but you're bending like those pesky relationships, or the I can't quite make enough money at my business, or but you're aligning yourself with that power of self-love, and that power of self-love, it's right to your soul, to me. So talk a little bit about what have you bent in your
right. What popped into my head, which was quite a few years ago, actually, was I bent a 40-minute wait at a restaurant into a 10-minute. So, and people have been following me for a while, probably have heard me sing the parking song. I think a lot of us have some sort of like whatever. And the thing about that and how that sort of relates to spoon bending is in that same way. You're letting go. You're letting go of expectations. You're letting go of your inner criticism. You're letting go of your criticism about everything that's out there. And so all sorts of things are possible, even getting a parking spot when you go into a crowded parking lot. The whole thing with the spoons, we've talked about this before, that in 2020, my house burned down and everything I own pretty much in a wildfire. And my partner and I wound up driving to Kentucky from Oregon, which is almost all the way across the country, to stay with her family for a while. And what is my point? Yes. So we drove like 2,600 miles and got to her son's place and daughter's, and we were exhausted. And yet for some reason, I felt drawn to get on a Facebook Live and just sort of let people know, okay, we arrived and this and that. And during that, I'm talking about welcoming and becoming comfortable with uncertainty, which is something also that can happen as you live yourself, as you know that like you're going to have your back no matter what happens. You're going to be there for yourself. It's okay more and more if you don't know what's the next moment is going to bring, and to not just grab when you're in like flux, like I was at that moment, not just like grab onto whatever, because that feels like safety, So while I was still doing that Facebook Live, I get a message in Messenger, and this woman says, "You don't know me, but," and I look at the name when I'm reading it, I was like, well, you don't know me, but I know you because 17 years ago, I bought your spoon bending kit from your radio show. And she was reaching out to me to offer me a spot. She said, my guides like sent me your way because I don't normally watch Facebook Live. And I was in the middle of playing dominoes, I think she said, with her daughter. And she just got up and like opened Facebook and caught me on a live. She said she wanted to offer me one of the slots that she was opening up on her radio station. So that is spoon bending, that's like just releasing, right? Releasing all the inner stuff and being willing for something new to happen, and being in, I want to say like right relationship with yourself is like, we all deserve to be loving and compassionate and kind and patient with ourselves, right? We're usually really good at doing that with our best friends or our partners or children, or we give it away to strangers, that kind of patience and compassion, and we don't necessarily give it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And bring it here first and then let it spill out from there. We deserve it. We
do. And that's a big lesson. I always say, and I feel like when we talk about the law of manifesting, the law of attraction, what's skipped in that is loving yourself and really appreciating yourself. And I always say that our ability to perceive how much God loves us and how much the universe is giving to us is in direct proportion to how much we love ourselves. When I'm really caring for myself and sticking by myself and I have my own back and I'm appreciating myself, things kind of start moving in this beautiful direction. But when I'm a good worry ward, I'm a professional worrier. When I'm worrying in that place, it just feels like life stops.
Right. You're constricting yourself, your whole energy in that moment. When we're worried like that, we're fearful or angry, or I've spent much of my life depressed. It's hard to get in from out there, right? When you're depressed and closed off. So, and for me, depression was a lot about not loving myself and accepting myself and being really angry and critical. So I was not really open to, I might have been asking for miracles or, for relief or whatever, but I don't think I was really open to it because I certainly didn't think I deserved it. Right.
Yeah. And that's the key to manifesting or attraction right there. So if you just do that work, you could forget about what am I magnifying or what am I manifesting, and just go with that self-love, go with that self-appreciation. This is what you've been talking about, what I am practicing, but it's a practice.
It's tricky. I mean, we're certainly not surrounded by that as a philosophy, but I like to say, what else is possible, or to ask, what could be, what could show up differently, and then don't answer it. Because if you answer it, you're answering it from your like small critical, struggling to feel better mind or whatever, like throw it out and let your higher self or let God or the universe bring in the answer, because they have a much bigger inventory of what is possible than we do in any given situation.
So what are the steps you would tell people? Like the spoon bending is like it's an external thing.
Yes.
Right. Because just to prove that it's happening within you. But forget about the spoons and let's talk about what are the steps to get yourself from the funk and the bad talk, self-talk,
right,
into really knowing that you're loved. Because I feel like we have a lot of people that are depressed that are really struggling, and that can't be true for me, So what
right. So when I first started studying meditation, one of the things that I discovered two things. One is we are not our emotions, and realizing that the emotion is, let's say, sort of like out here, there's like a little bit of breathing room in here, right? I mean, we say, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm angry, as if it's like our persona or if it's our truth, but it's just an experience we're having in the moment, and it changes like the weather, right? So to have that sense of, wait a minute, that's not me. It's something happening to me, with me, against me, for me, any of those things, right? But it's not me. Gave a little bit of space. And the other thing I was studying Tibetan Buddhism, and they were teaching just the basic like calm abiding meditation. So the idea is you're basically just sitting there, and we always have thoughts. So it's not about shutting off the thoughts. It's about noticing them, letting go, or not noticing even, but, noticing when you're running off with your thoughts, which for me, often those thoughts that I was running off with were unpleasant because I was, depressed and angry and didn't feel whatever, right? So the instruction was whenever you notice yourself having gone off from, let's say you're paying attention to your breath, right? And I'm wandering off and I'm somewhere, to just gently just come back, period. And then you notice you're off again. It could be a second later, just come back. And it was like, what do you mean just come back? Like, I'm mad at myself. I'm telling myself I'm screwing it up. I can't meditate. I'm not good at this. I whatever, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Things. Or I'm having a fight with somebody in my head or whatever, but like I'm agitated. And it was just like, just come back. It doesn't matter how many times you have to do that in the space of even 5 minutes, just do that. And so it was helping me, which is something that I'm going to, recommend here, to just, whenever you're in the midst of something, just take a pause, just take a breath and let that be like a neutral space, right?
Mhm.
I'm breathing in now. And now I'm breathing out. That's it. We just meditated together, right?
It's simple. It's easy.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't have to, suddenly be reborn or, change our lives or whatever, which was something like when I would go through a depression, when it was sort of coming on, often there were things that I was busy complaining about in my life that usually I couldn't fix, that I wanted to change, whatever. And I would start to think like I had to like rearrange my whole life, I had to change my career or whatever. It's like, no, like, think of it sort of as if you have the flu. You need to sit through this. You need to get through it. You need to maybe feel it and come out the other side and then see what to do, right? It wasn't like the depression and those inner voices were not proof that I was wrong or that even anything was wrong, except how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Right? And those feelings are not me. So those two things, right? Recognizing that you are not your feelings and to just take a pause will let some light in, into the feeling dark or feeling lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I feel things and I get overwhelmed, and my philosophy is to say, I'm feeling this way. It's telling me something about where I am right now and what I'm doing. What is the message? But the feelings don't have the answers.
Yes, that's beautiful. I know you have great work that you do with folks with emotions, particularly. Yeah.
But I love hearing you say that, because it just really validates and affirms that here is another person working on, you're not your feelings. And
Mhm.
amen to that. But they're so strong. They're overwhelming. They can knock you out like a bus coming flattening you out.
Right. Yeah. And, it's like if we could learn to let our thoughts and feelings serve us and be of use to us, but one of the other things when you start having this bit of space, you start maybe, or some of the studies I've done, working with meditation and stuff, is that it's like, that's not me. Even all those thoughts and feelings or whatever, they make up part of my personality, but who I am, who you are, my belief is that we are eternal divine beings. And we're here having a journey or, an adventure. And it's that awareness that is like more who we really are. And all that other stuff just can come and go.
So what happens, when you're in that cycle and the meditation doesn't seem like it's working, and you're still overwhelmed? And what do you say to somebody who's in that place? Like, this is just not gonna work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the depression, there's so many different things and tools and ways. And, one is if you have a trusted friend, who can see you. You don't necessarily want somebody who's going to commiserate with you and be like, yeah, I know it's so hard. And, then you're like down and down and down. I have another tool that I sort of created with my friend and also coach and teacher, Barb Ryan. called I See You and I Raise You. And if you have somebody like that in your life, whether it's a friend or a teacher, hello, I, coach and teach this stuff, right? And to be in a group of people who can see beyond that, right? You can't see beyond it because you're busy being depressed and it's all like, in here, right? And right, what I can say is, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, that's not you. I see that you are someone greater than this and more than this, and you have potential. And in this moment, I get it. Like it feels terrible and it looks dark and you feel awful about yourself or whatever's going on. And I'm here to remind you that that's not the truth. That's what's coming through in this moment. And it's not the real, honest who you are or what you are or what your life is even about.
Yeah, I love that. I see you and I raise you. So you're in a girlfriend bitch session and or boyfriend bitch session and saying this and that and this and that. And they go, yeah, I know, it really stinks, doesn't it? Oh yeah. And then this, and then did you notice this other thing happens? You have a friend that says, I see that, but I raise you.
Right.
I want like that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got one. We're friends. So
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I'll just text or call my friend Barb, or she'll do the same with me. She's like, I need an uplift, I see you and I raise you. And because we've been playing with that tool for years now, it's enough for us sometimes to just say, I see you and I raise you. It's like, oh yeah, I'm bigger than that. I'm bigger than, whatever I'm worried about or whatever snafu I'm in the middle of. Like, remember when you were clever. Remember when you felt better, Well,
so that's a great tool. And I know that you have other tools. You said you developed a couple of modalities for getting out of the energy of the emotions and stuff.
Right.
A little bit about those tools. We've done them together. You've used them on me and they've been very impactful. So
right. I did an attunement. Yeah. Some years ago, I had this incredible, amazing experience of offering a friend of mine to do some energy work on her and sort of let's just see what happens, looking to expand something. And she started channeling my healer guides. And I never actually talked with my healer guides, but I knew immediately, because things, I don't know, that's who was coming through. And they spent several days between me and my friend Andy sort of instructing me on clearing stuff. And like sort of clearing like the mental, emotional, energetic debris in your field, right? I kind of like to say, like, imagine you're driving cross country and you've been eating snacks all along the way. You throw out the wrappers, but there's like stuff still all around you, We do our work, we change, we grow, we get over stuff. And energetically speaking, in this viewpoint, there's all this stuff hanging around. And so I do sessions. It's like a whole clearing, like a deep cleaning for a person of, their surroundings and themselves. And we could target different, topics or areas and shift the energy. Now, it's always you yourself who's doing the growing and the healing and the changing. And sometimes it's really useful to have someone who can bring something, like the I see you and I raise you, right? It's another tools that I have that you don't have that I can bring to you and help move things or clear things so that you then can go on, on your own.
So I want to just kind of jump in here and say, if somebody wanted to work with you, how can they get in touch with you and how would you set it up? How would you start? So I put up your Facebook page and then we put up there's a little workshop coming up, but
yeah, thanks. At this point, well, messenger me on Facebook, or comment on one of my posts and say, I'd like to talk to you or whatever. So, and you have the link there. And
you saw her on the Angel Escapes podcast, definitely, because we like to know where we meet our peoples, but because anyway, so Miché Meizner, it was Facebook Miché Shines, is it right?
Right. And then also my email, you can definitely email me, micheshines@gmail.com.
Shines at Gmail. Okay, perfect.
I am just a couple of months ago, I became officially one of the many teachers on Insight Timer, which is an app that you can get on Mac or Android. And it's thousands of meditations and guided visualizations, so many resources, including mine now. And so you can follow me on there. Also, again, Miché Shines. There's a theme running there, and follow me as a teacher there. And you can also message me there as a teacher. But I've got just a few tracks. I'm putting up more, and I've got meditations. I've got some guided visualizations. It's another simple thing that I do, like in some of my group programs, where I just walk people through these processes to have a different internal experience, but also simultaneously, this is internal too, literally shift your DNA. It's been proven that our thoughts and feelings affect our DNA. Bruce Lipton is someone who really put that out in the public eye, epigenetics. You could look him up, Bruce Lipton, right?
Yeah.
And, so in this process that I do, we're literally changing the information that your DNA is holding. I mean, you're still basically yourself, but we have, we've caught, or it's almost like a net, and we've caught up all this stuff through our lives of, what people taught us, or what people said about us, or what we said about ourselves, or what we said about the world around us, and so yeah, self-love. And I think through all the things I do also is the idea that it's not the way we think. There's so much more. There's so much more to us, and there's so much more around us. Like, let's play, let's look, let's find it.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. And remind ourselves to keep finding it. Have these things around you, like the apps and the meditations, and connect to people who are doing it. And I have one, somebody just wrote in, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit. A lot of us are going through challenges all of a sudden, like, and you just went through your tree. You built your house. You finally built your house up from the forest. Got it built up. Your mom, your partner, and your mom came. You had a lot of changes with that. You did, and then what happened?
Well, we were packing to go on vacation, literally, Tuesday evening, 2 weeks ago, and this loud boom, a tree crashed through our bedroom, like broke the ceiling, broke the wall, like rain pouring in for the next 14, 16 hours. I was, had a wet vac, and it was like picking up like 20 gallons of water. Our bed is just like a boat now. Yeah, stuff happens. And, I've been posting about it and sharing, how I'm coping, and it was stressful. It's still stressful. Something happened the other day, yesterday, and I just started. I was in my studio looking for some tool, and I couldn't find it. I just burst into tears. So it's not like it's not hard or stressful. I'm not saying like, everything's fine, whatever. But with the tools that I have, and most of the time ability to be kind and patient with myself, it's a different experience. It's like, okay, that really stinks. And now we're going to, call insurance. And now we're going to call the roofers. And now we need somebody to climb up there and take the tree off the house. And we do it. And that project is going to be 2 months long. They have to take out the walls, and they have to build a new roof on that. It's a big deal. Although, compared to my mom dying 8 months ago, and compared to, losing everything in the wildfire 3 years ago, on one hand, it's like, oh no, not one more thing on top, top of the pile. But that's one thing. Don't make it a pile. We make piles all the time. We're like, oh, this doesn't work, and that's wrong, and I'm doing this, and this doesn't happen, and I don't have that, and you get this pile. Let them be their own thing. Like, the tree didn't fall because this other stuff happened. The tree fell. Some people actually, well, what do you think that's telling you? And like, well, it's telling me there's 3 or 4 other trees that are in danger of coming down.
Tells me get more trees down. Yeah.
Like, I think everything in our lives is part of our spiritual journey or whatever, but I don't think that everything is some spiritual message, that you have to like divine.
That's a
That's
good. Yeah, thanks
right.
for saying that. Thanks so much for saying that, because something bad, people will come in to talking to me and what does this mean? This really horrible thing happened. Am I a bad person? What was I doing? What is the lesson? The lesson and the lesson is to remain in the healing, in your healing place, in your self-love place. And you talk about that so briefly, beautifully, because I have a number, and somebody just asked me this question. I have all these she had something occur in her life, and now she has all of these weird feelings that she doesn't know, that she's like, where are these coming from? What do I do with them? Because she's never been in that situation before. It's a new situation. And again, we were talking about you're not your feelings, you're not your emotions. However, these things are big that come up when
Right. And this is also how we navigate and how we perceive what's happening. I mean, we have to have our thoughts and our feelings, right? Because otherwise we'd just be like sitting there, chilling. So yeah, and this and teach us more than I do, that we all have a team, right? We've got angels, we've got, spirit beings, guides looking out for us. So I would say if there's a whole new something coming up, to ask yourself, what does this mean for me? Or ask the feelings, right? You could talk to the feelings, and you could also talk to whoever it is that you feel comfortable connecting to. And if you don't feel comfortable connecting to anyone, I suggest that you come and talk to me or Nancy, and we will help you connect with somebody or some energy, some wisdom.
absolutely, absolutely. The wisdom is always there. It's always there. As loud as our negative voices are, as loud as our emotions are, the that energy, that loving energy from that higher power is even bigger.
Mhm. Right.
Block it out. So using these tools softens, opens the door.
Right. Years ago, one of my teachers was talking about the idea of people being afraid to like do something to help another person because, what if that's not God's will, right? So they want to interfere with God's will, and her response, which I love, was like, what if it's God's will that you're there and available to help that person,
Yeah.
right? And so same thing here. It's like, yeah, we're growing, we're doing our thing, we're kind of on our own, but we're also all together.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful. That's a
there's
good
a time and a place, for people and help and support and teachers and coaches, and all of that thing. And I say go with the ones who are not working in a way that keeps you dependent on them. Go to the ones who are helping you be more yourself and be more in your own power.
Yeah, be in your own power. I see you and I raise you. See people who are willing to see you,
Right.
and listen, and not expect you to be beyond human. But
Right.
you, does that make sense? We're spiritual beings having a human experience, but
Well,
we are
right.
having a human experience.
Human nature. Yeah. When we're operating in that. And the other thing I want to say, like about the I see you and I raise you, is it's not like I'm not going to stand around and see you and raise you for the rest of your life all the time. Right. You come to me, you let me know I'm going to see you and raise you. I'm going to hold you up. I'm going to, send energy. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to remind you of who you really are and help you stand on your own feet.
So that you could see yourself.
Yes, right. Until you can see that in yourself. Right.
Right.
I've written about times where, years ago when I was really struggling with depression and just floundering, and there's some moment where you feel like you're drowning, you just can't tread water anymore, and you just can't do this anymore. And it's exhausting, and you're going to die, or you should die, or will, whatever. And then you just stand up and you realize that the whole time you've been in like 3 feet of water.
Right. That is, yes, great point.
Right. And it's not always like that. I mean, I'm not trying to belittle. I've had struggles. I'm suicidal a lot of my life. So I'm not trying to, just fluff it off or, whatever. And there's all different times that are different kind of places, you know. There was one time where I suddenly noticed I'd like heard what I was saying to myself and sounded very much like the things I say to myself when I'm like diving down into depression. And I had enough like self-possession outside of those thoughts and feelings to just kind of turn around and say, you again? And my ability to have that separation gave me the ability to like not fall down that hole.
Yeah. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hi, how you doing?
Right.
Stand over there. Yeah.
Do you know somebody wrote, I think it was like my memoir in 3 chapters or something like that. I walked down the street, I fell in a hole.
Mhm.
I walked down the street, I saw the hole, I fell in it anyway. I walked down the street, I saw the hole, I walked around the hole. I walked down the street, I saw the hole, I crossed the street. So, you know, there's different levels and times, you know, and sometimes, you know, part of you needs to go through something, you know, it's our part of our growth and our discovering of ourselves, you know, but there's a lot of it that we just feel victim to our own, you know, prisoner to our own feeling, thoughts. It's like, well, this is how I feel. Well, it's how you feel this moment, but hey, I bet we can change it.
Well, yes. You know, there's another quote I couldn't say where I've heard it, but change is inevitable. There's always change. Just wait long, like the New England weather, just wait long enough, it'll change. But that's life. The only thing you can depend on in life is change, and it can be changed for the better.
Right.
Huh.
Yes. Right. Now that we're throwing quotes around, we live, okay, what is it? We live with, oh my, we live with sadness, but we needn't live sadly.
Oh, that's a good one. You
I
live
think it was Rumi,
sadness, but that doesn't mean we need to live badly.
right?
I like that.
Yeah. Like, don't be married to, you know, what you're feeling or, you know, or, I mean, I used to see myself as a depressed person, right? And so you just start accumulating the proof to that, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to like to bring it back around to spoon bending. Woo, how'd she do that? Is that when you bend a spoon and you keep it and you can see it and you remember that feeling and that experience, you start attracting and bringing to you or just even noticing other things where something went your way or where you were able to influence something, influence yourself.
Oh, the
You know?
biggest person influences you. But then as you influence and other people, you're very good at holding space for people. That's another thing that working with you, you held the space wide open for whatever needed to happen. And let's talk a little bit about you've got 30th, October 30th is your spoon bending workshop.
Right. And, you know, it came up, I think somebody was asking me about it. Yeah, some people were saying, yeah, I want to do spoon bending. And I was just about to set a date. And then you sent me a message and said, hey, let's get you on the show and do some spoon bending. And, you know, it flows. So next Monday at noon Pacific time, I will be leading the spoon bending masterclass and invite anyone here to sign up. You have to register. And it's pay what you can. So there's a suggested price and you can also choose whatever. Because I want anybody who really wants to do it to be able to do it. And I was giving it away for free for 7 years for the most part. And I want me to make money too. So.
Brilliant. I did sign up for it. I'm really excited about signing up for it, but it is like easy because I could have said pay different amount. And I'm like, you could always
Yeah,
pay.
I want it to be simple. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's an hour-long class. I recommend bringing several utensils because, for one thing, a lot of times when you bend one, you don't believe that you just did it. You're like, oh, something was wrong with that spoon, or it was already bent over there, or something. You know, it's when one of the powerful points in bending the spoon is really to realize what you just did. You know, the meaning of it, the power of it, that you really did just shift reality in that moment. And there's a part of us, like the survival instinct, is like, whoa, just wait a minute, and doesn't want to take that step into some new possibilities. I was going to say new dimension, but it's not even, it's, we're still right here. Like we're here grounded, doing the earth thing. And yet we also have a lot more connection to, I don't know where it is. Maybe it's not above, maybe it's just inside or below, whatever. But we are capable of so much within ourselves, and then also outside, in what we share, right? I mean, every time I see you and I raise you, I'm changing. It's like, what do they say? It's about one butterfly flaps its wings, right? And how it keeps building and rippling, that it could like cause a tornado or something. I don't know if that's true or just some science feel-good story.
I'm afraid, I'm afraid to look, am I flapping too hard? But I think.
But in terms of like rippling out, feeling good and seeing the good in another person, feeling good in yourself, you emanate that, And so you could be sitting on a train or in a waiting room or whatever. And if you're just sitting there feeling good, you're putting out good vibes and other people are catching it. They can't help it. You turn a light bulb on, everybody in the room is in a more lit situation.
Yeah. And that's a law of vibration in a sense, but that everything vibrates and it wants to vibrate to the highest vibration that's around it.
Right.
Water wants to go to the lowest so it can balance it out. But vibration, so if you're in a room full of people who are vibrating at an essence, a happiness vibration or a clear thinking vibration, you're going to be impacted. You're going to feel it.
Right. And that's also the reason why when you're looking for support from other people, from friends or family, you don't want to go to the ones who are going to commiserate or even try to one better you. Oh, you think you're depressed? Well, listen to this, because you want somebody to meet you and raise you or not, not even meet you. It's like, you come to me, I'm not coming down to where you are. I'm going to hold where I'm at. Right. And through the law of vibration, that's going to help to draw you up.
Right.
If you go to somebody, and they're sharing everything that doesn't work, yeah, you're both going to be just, laying on the floor in a minute.
I know. Did you ever go that you think you have it bad, just
Right.
and then about some horrible thing that's happening on the news, and you're going, well, that's really awful. So I feel even worse. So yeah.
But that also takes away the truth and importance of your own personal experience. Like, yeah, all of that is happening. All of that stuff, whatever is happening on somewhere, sometime, all the time, right? Things happen, big things, whatever, but you can always find somebody who's got it worse than you. And to not use it as a way to invalidate your own experience and your own feelings, because you're not living that life. You're living this life right here.
Yeah.
You stubbed your toe hurts. And we don't need to, bring in like, well, what about people who don't even have a foot? That's a whole different thing.
Yeah. So validate where you are, see yourself where you are, appreciate yourself. You'll get through it faster.
Right. Because then you also get to place it in order of importance. So like, oh, it was my toe. I didn't break my toe. I just stubbed my toe. Like, okay, it's here. It's not here.
But in the moment, it's here.
Yeah.
But it will get better.
Right.
It'll get better. And thank you for the pain, so that I know that I hurt something, so that I can, take care of it to make it better.
Right. Move the furniture, put on shoes, put on ice, whatever. Right. We need to know what's going on for ourselves. And I think we need to know that really none of it is permanent.
It's true. The only thing that's consistent is change, but yeah,
Right.
it's not permanent, and how you're feeling will change, and whether it's physically, emotionally, or mentally. And sometimes for some situations where the pain will be there, it's not necessarily going to go away.
Mhm. Right.
Going back to that concept of spoon bending, how you relate to it can change the level of.
Yeah. And I read once about some research where they had people who agreed to be like poked with a pin,
Mhm.
and they were measuring, they wanted to know, like, scale of 1 to 10, how much did that hurt? And they were delivering the same amount of poke every time. When the person was alone, let's say it was like an 8. And then they would have a nurse or somebody that wasn't, family or friend come and hold their hand. And the same poke delivered, and maybe it was a 6.
Oh
And then they had a loved one just be there with them, right? Hold their hand, and the pain, their perception of the pain dropped to, like, let's say a 4. I don't know what the numbers were, but I remembered it was, it was a big shift. And having somebody who cared about you and expressed that with you while you were having pain actually changed the experience of your pain.
Oh my goodness.
So, even that is variable.
I love that compassion and just being there with somebody changes that person's experience of the pain that they're in. That
Right?
gives you a lot to think about.
Yes. Right. And so they'd come into my meditation program and then think about nothing.
Yeah. Well, what you're connecting to in the meditation program is that higher source that knows you.
Yeah. And some quietness. I mean, we're still gonna, have thoughts, but yeah, you're connecting to your higher self or guidance, and quieting your mind enough so that after you're done hearing all the chatter you didn't even know you were doing, you hear your own inspiration. You hear your own desires or whispers or whatever, from a truer, not such a reactionary place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Those. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking about reactionary places can just be the snake biting its tail sometimes.
Right? Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
but if you got to react, go ahead and react. Keep an eye
Mhm.
on the clock, or keep an eye on the calendar. How long are you doing this for? And
Right.
decide how long do I want to do this for even more.
Mhm.
And this is when I'm going to stop it.
Yeah.
This is when I'm going to shift out of it, because you can shift out of stuff. I
Right.
feel oftentimes people don't believe they can shift out of it because the emotions, the reactions are so powerful, and they feel very justified in them. And what do you do when somebody's really justified in their, yeah, I should be, I'm a victim to this, or not, maybe they're not a victim, but they're just, yeah, this feels really so much bigger than me.
Mhm. Yeah, that is the time to look at something bigger, not something bigger that somebody else has that you don't have, but look within your own life, and look at a bigger picture, and where does this fit in,
Yeah.
and in 5 years, can you imagine, are you still going to be holding on to whatever that is, the emotion, the same way that you are now? Or do you think, it's going to change? You think other things will become important? You know,
Yeah.
the thing about sometimes why it's so hard for people to let go is that they don't realize that they're holding on, right? I mean, you have feelings, you don't think you have any choice or any power or ability with them. It's like,
Just
that's it.
yeah. And then you're like flattened, but it's not the truth. And sometimes these things sneak up on you so that you can know, oh, I am holding on to that.
Right. And sometimes I talk about giving up the need to be right, and we think and all these things I say, none of it is like this way, it's just another way. It's this and that. It's sometime more this, sometime more that, but to be willing to give up the need to be right allows you to be a little bit flexible in your opinion or in the way you see things. Two people see things differently, then clearly there are at least two viewpoints.
Yeah.
Like, really? And there's probably more. But if you're stuck in right and they're stuck in right, nobody's going to be looking anywhere else, let alone like what you think.
You know, I think that that's the, when you're stuck in right, black and white, or right, I'm right, I'm right. If I'm right, you have to be wrong. What we lose is the vibration of the thought.
Yes.
So if you've got an idea here and a perception here, they can work together like puzzle pieces where you could explore, but this isn't complete. But wait a minute, this isn't complete. We can, you're there, you're together kind of for a reason. And
Right.
but the stepping out of the right and wrong, black and white is a vibrational change.
Mhm.
And
Right.
it's focus, but it's worth it.
Yeah. With our survival mode kicking in all over the place, we're defending ourselves all the time. And so why would I let go of being right or holding this position because like your survival mechanisms, like, we're saving your life. You just stand there and you hold your shield and, whatever. And you got to look at that too. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of time, people hate to ask for help. I've been dependent. I don't want to ask for help because I know how I want to do it. But sometimes how I want to do it, I'm in the swamp, Scorpio swamp, because I'm doing it over and over again the same way. And then I'll ask somebody for help. And a couple of things can happen. That person can actually listen and help, or the other person says, let me take over and I'll do it for you. And then you're still in the swamp. So there is still a place of knowing, and I really feel this is where the guides and your higher self and your soul always knows what to do. You say, I don't know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm willing to do it differently, but I don't know how to do
Right.
it.
And you're asking those questions, and what's coming in is judgy and critical or, pissy. That's not your guide. You're working with someone or something else. People ask, how can I trust what comes through? How can I know that what I'm getting is real? And the top number one thing is they're going to be loving and patient and kind about it.
Absolutely. Thanks for saying that. That is so freaking true. Yeah. Loving and patient and kind, and you will make progress.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you fall down, but you got to get back up and give it another shot.
One of my other teachers talks about as like a tool, the idea of, we tend to compare ourselves to other people, right? Always, usually the ones who, seem to have it together more or whatever. Somebody said, oh, you're a celebrity. I'm like, I'm not a celebrity. And somebody said, oh, you have it so together. It's like, you see what you see. You don't see the other part, But anyway, so to compare you to you, right? It's not helpful for me to compare myself to where you're at. It's helpful for me to compare myself today with where I was even a year ago, and to be able to see the shifts. And maybe it's not always up, whatever up is. Maybe sometimes it's down, but that's useful then. I mean, if you just take it as wisdom or awareness or information, right? Not as a way to like beat yourself down. And just one other thing you were saying about progress and moving forward, I think was the word you used. Sometimes you'll feel like, well, I cleared this, right? I mean, I cleared this because I went to a healer, or I cleared it because I was on a retreat, or I cleared it because I was in therapy for 8 years or whatever. And something will come back around and it'll be like, I was done with that. Like, I fixed that. And it could feel terrible. Like, why am I here again? And it's sort of the compare you to you thing. It's like, how would you know how much better you're doing than where you were then if you don't sort of have another opportunity to have sort of the same stimulus or trigger or something? Yeah. And you can see, wow, like that really didn't trigger me.
Yeah, I'm on that road again, but I know there's a hole in there.
Right. Yeah, right. This time I crossed the street because I've grown to a different place.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. You're getting an opportunity to see how you've grown and where you are, and are the tools working, or are you using them? Or back to basics.
And one other thing, because I'm just really big on like telling it like it is, and truth, and not trying to make it one thing or another. I see when I raise you, the person that you're trying to see and raise is not always ready. I could be on a phone call with my friend Barb and I'm complaining about something. She's like, hey, I'm like, I need to be angry for a while. I'm not ready to go there. Yeah. Right. So it's about dissing your feelings. Right. Yeah. It's about like kind of when you're done feeling them, let's move on.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yes, you do need to feel your feelings, honor them, love them. Don't diminish them, because you're not going to get past it if you're diminishing and making them smaller,
Right.
and minimizing your human experience doesn't give you the opportunity to learn,
Mhm.
grow beyond it. You're just going to go hit it back again. Why am I here again? Well, because the last time you minimized it.
Mhm. Right.
It's
There's another
fine.
opportunity
Yeah,
to do it
yes,
differently, just to learn to see yourself in a new way or
yeah.
see others in it.
I know. So I'm excited about this October 30th, the spoon bending workshop. Now you do these pretty regularly. And
Yeah.
so for people who are listening to this as a podcast, and maybe October 30th is come and gone, you
Mhm.
can go to Miché Shines. You can write to her, or you can go to her Facebook page, Miché Shines, and she'll have all of her information up there. And you could reach out to her too. And I bet you, if you could do a private tutorial.
Oh, I have done that, yes. And I have a newsletter, and I don't know how to get to it. I'll have to tell you how to get to it, and we'll put it in the links. But that's one way. I mean, I share some of these stories and wisdom, and I always share like the, spoon bending coming up.
So where
So
would this newsletter be? Do you have a website that people can,
one I actually, yeah, to sign up to the email, you mean?
yeah.
I can't remember it. I'm gonna have to give it to you.
Well, if you go to Miché Shines on Facebook, I
Yeah,
know she has her website up there. So look
yeah,
for it.
right.
And no worries. Just all
Right.
these, so many ways to reach each other. It's not even funny. But
Yeah. I was just asked by a couple of women in Australia or somewhere thereabouts if I'd be willing to do a different day and time because, so I don't know what time of day it is for them at noon. So I will be. I don't know when, but probably in another week or so, I'll be doing another one. So if this day and time doesn't work for you, then, get you in on another one.
yeah, absolutely. It's a powerful workshop. It's basic, it's straightforward, and it works.
Right? And I
Very
think from like age 7 to age 80, I know my mom was 80 when she bent a spoon. I think maybe somebody 82, but it's pretty wide range of who can do it. Anybody potentially can do it. Most of the hardest thing is to get out of your own way. And I help you do that in the class.
I'll tell you a secret. When I finally figured out how to do this, I was doing it. I haven't done it in a few months, but when I find myself in a funk and going, I am just out of my mind. I'm out of my power. I'm out of source. I'll go back into source and I'll bend the spoon to see where I am. How long does it take me to do? It's like you're honest. You're like, then I know how much I need to like meditate or go back into it. So, and I've been
Like a
using this.
weather vane. Like how windy is it now? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How
Right.
connected right now.
They're cheap and they're easy to come by, unlike walking on coals or something.
Yeah, you can easily order a whole box of
Yeah.
them.
I usually go to thrift stores, but sometimes, or when I've been going off to a retreat to do it, I'll get a few dozen off of Amazon. I can send you the link to of the ones that I found that I like that, they're sturdy and they're not too floppy and they're not like some, major like cast iron soup ladle, whatever. Right. So
It's the positivity in your heart and in your mind and the connection to that you are a powerful being.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big message that you give and you teach it so well. So
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else
Love it. I light up.
you light up like a candle? You do actually like an LED flashlight, but
In the group that we were in together, I was talking about, I want to do spoon bending. This is what I want to teach and whatever. And the leader of the group was sort of trying to get me to do something, more practical or whatever. And you remember Colleen?
yes.
Yeah. Colleen was like, you should see how she lights up, how her face lights up whenever she talks about spoon bending. You go, you do your spoon bending. And she really helped me stay the course, when other coaches and marketers were like, what? But
Yeah. Well, in your heart of hearts, you could get all the advice in the world, and so
Right.
you got it. You've
Right.
used, yeah.
And that's the same thing. If I give you advice and if it's not sitting well with you, I'm not saying, oh, you got to listen to me because I'm connected or something, right? It's like,
What do I do with this? I don't know what to do with it. Yeah. But later on, yeah.
yeah.
But anyways, so I can't convince you enough, peoples, to sign up for this workshop, get to know Miché, and see what's going on. She's a very unassuming person, a very humble person, but very powerful. And I always like to bring people to these podcasts who will be great resources to the people that I love and care about. And we're on a soul's journey. And these are tools to help you on your soul's journey. So we're going to kind of wrap up now. And I want to thank everybody for listening. We have a really nice comments.
I'm going to have to look because,
Yeah.
we focused on our,
Yeah, so it's terrific. And so for now, Miché Shines, Facebook, Miché, and Miché Shines at gmail.com. Reach out to her, and you can reach out to me at angelscapes.net. Would you have another one? Another
I
thing?
have the answer. I just looked it up quick because, multitask. It's sleek, SLEEK .bio, BIO / Miché Shines. That's it. It won't necessarily always have, my events, but it does definitely have the opt-in to get on my newsletter where you will learn about all the events.
.com or anything, just sleek.bio.
Sleek.bio / Miché Shines.
I got it in there right. But it went in perfect. Great.
Okay, great.
Sleek.bio at Miché Shines. Perfect. So I'm excited to have you back on again. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. And I'll be there for that workshop for sure.
Awesome. I see you there. And thank you everybody for listening, and happy to hear comments or questions anytime.
Great. And so, so for now, absolutely. So for now, thank you, Miché, for coming on, and have a soul-filled life. Take it one baby step at a time in your soul's journey, but don't give up. Keep going. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.